Thanks a lot to Gillard, and thank you especially for this gorgeous moderation for the full day. I had so much fun listening to you. I have to apologize that I have to be a little bit more formal from right on now. So, dear Minister Herman, dear panelists, and of course, dear audience, a warm welcome to this closing panel debate here on the main stage in Stuttgart, and a warm welcome to all our digital panelists around the globe. Welcome to the Policy Talk Accelerating Transformation Towards an Electric Future of Mobility. My name is Antje Brobe, and I'm of course pleased to be your facilitator for this high-level session between government and industry and startups. So let's introduce my panel guests, and I start, of course, with you. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm very proud to announce our Minister of Transport here in the land, Baden-Württemberg. And Winfried Herrmann is one of those ministers of the German Republic that is really maybe pushing forward sustainable mobility solutions in a very, very special way. Talking about public transport, talking about pedestrians, talking about bicycles, and of course, electric mobility for private and commercial users. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm welcome to Winfried Herrmann. Please. So, my next guest has a very impressive CV coming from E.ON, coming from Oracle, and from Google, and she shifted from these really huge and global companies towards a small SME 1.5 degree. She is a digital native speaker, and 1.5 degree is one of the announced unicorns and is listed amongst the top 100 clean tech companies globally. A warm welcome to the CTO of 1.5 degrees, Barbara Wittenberg. So, it's a pleasure for me to switch to the Netherlands, and I would like to introduce the President of Fleet Management Solutions from Bridgestone Mobility Solutions here on stage. Fleet Management Solutions, well, you can take your seat as well, of course. A little bit more to say about Jan Martin. Bridgestone, the Fleet Management Solution is a part or a business unit of Bridgestone providing data-driven solutions for safe and sustainable future. And yes, please give a warm welcome to Jan Martin de Vries. Okay, and my next guest is something like a global and a local matador as well. Jan Kröning is the head of strategy Daimler Trucks and Buses for about 2 decades, connectors with Daimler and Mercedes-Benz trucks on a national and global positions. He's maybe one of those personalities who are always this step ahead in his way of thinking and accelerating the transition towards electric mobility. And he's used to think big. A warm welcome to Jan Kröning. So, feels a little bit comfortable more than in the audience because he's got cooling over here, so I enjoy it to be on the podium with you. So in the first round, I would like to talk about solutions and opportunities and looking 5 years ahead. How can we master the challenges even faster? And I start with the minister. You already visited 2 weeks ago, I guess, the US, and you met policymakers and business partners in California, in Oregon, and Washington. Could you tell us what inspires you most and what are maybe, or what could be a role model to take home?
Well, I've been in Sacramento on the EVS, that is Electric Vehicle Symposium, Worldwide Congress for Electrifying Cars and Infrastructure and so on. And the new focus was infrastructure for electrification of the cars and new trucks, for example, Daimler Trucks. We were in Portland at the company Daimler Trucks. We want to see what is new, what will they bring in the future. And that was one of the good things and great ideas to see that even the trucks are becoming electrified. And Daimler, and we were at Microsoft in Seattle and AVS as well in Seattle, and everywhere where we talk with the people, I realized that they are really ambitious in transformation. They're looking for innovations and they have clear targets to protect climate. That's for me very important that we have a lot of partners working on climate protection, because this challenge is so big that's not only up to the governments to solve the problem. We need the companies, we need the society, we need the science, and so on. And the good thing was, and the good feeling I got is, the people everywhere inspired and to do it, not to talk, to do it. And that is so important.
Yeah. Maybe that's even the take-home message for us, that's really coming into the doing and not just only talking. But our job is to talk. And you mentioned directly Jan. So I would ask you, of course, your company was closely connected to the minister's visit in the US, but asking you, viewing or having something like an outlook 5 years ahead. So what would you answer? What are the upcoming solutions?
Yeah, so 5 years ahead, the good thing of 5 years ahead is that we will be completely already in the transformation towards zero-emission vehicles, so it will have become a reality.
Could we raise up the tone a little bit? It's really hard to understand here. Sorry. Thank you.
The important piece is that towards these 5 years, we all master kind of 4 challenges. The one is the assets, so the vehicle, put batteries in it, fuel cells in it, so that it's able to run on electricity. The next is to get the green energy, the infrastructure, so the charging in place. But then the most important piece, and I think that's what I've already seen a couple of great ideas here, is to support the transportation industry with all the solutions towards the electrification. And you know, this is something which is, of course, on the one hand hard, but on the other hand also exciting, because it's a great market out there. Yeah? So there will be solutions in terms of completely different route planning. There will be solutions around charging. And there will be a lot of things where particularly startups, but also OEMs can create value to support the customer and then share this value with the customers. And we've done that already with, for example, Mylands, our charging joint venture, and doing that with buses. But we are so sure that we cannot do that all alone, and that's why we are building here on you, having great ideas and supporting this change towards zero-emission vehicles.
So thank you. It's interesting to hear that it's not only the technology of the trucks and the buses, but even the need for infrastructure and maybe to find customized solution. Excellent. So thank you. Maybe that's your job. Jan Martin is responsible for the huge fleets. And by the way, he has said last year on a conference a very remarkable sentence. He says, in the next 10 years, even more change can be expected than in the past 100. So the same question to you, what will be the next steps in the future, and is maybe digitalization the key for that?
Yeah, I think digitalization is definitely one of the keys, especially when you put it in the light of use of data to bring smarter solutions for EV end-to-end to the mobility players in the market. But that's, so let me start to say EV is there to stay and that's a good thing for all of us, because it will help us on this journey towards a sustainable mobility future, and it gives companies a license to operate. But for me, that's easy to say here on stage, and I will give you one example, because the city of Amsterdam will actually allow only zero-emission vehicles in large parts of the city already in 2025. That's 2 years from now. And fleets are not ready to do that. So it's causing a huge headache for fleets, for commercial mobility actors, for all the reasons that Jan explained with the challenges that are there. So we need to help them. We need to help fleets. both in the transition, so what type of vehicles can make the transition, how many, what's the battery size needed, but also in operating those vehicles, because using electric vehicles in your fleet will have a huge impact on your business operations. For instance, when to charge them, where to charge them, do you charge them all at once or sequential, the routing, managing the driver in their range anxiety, battery management, repair and maintenance, all those things end to end. And that's exactly where the digitalization, the data comes in for the smarter solutions. But for that, I feel there's a paradigm shift required, because the way we have evolved in the automotive industry over the past decades cannot be the approach that we follow for EV. It needs to be far more collaborative with data sharing. And I see a lot of fragmentation still in the market. So we need to bring all those solutions together and enable the fleets to get there with platforms that act as aggregators and integrators to make that happen.
Yeah, thank you. And I guess we will talk about a little bit more about this paradigm shift, because there's really a lot of different transition processes going on. Thank you so much. Gorgeous. So, Barbara, we are always talking about the startups connected with the huge companies, and I hope you can understand me. And yeah, I think it's very interesting what your company is offering. You have developed an operating system for installers, and Heartbeat, which is an operating system for the end consumers. Maybe you have to explain a little bit what that is and what that means, because it's very interesting how you combine and have a network for solar power systems, for heat pumps, for energy storage, for sharing infrastructure and smart energy infrastructure. So could you explain that a little bit? What are you exactly doing?
So basically we are a one-stop shop for customers to buy PV, EV chargers and batteries. But we don't only sell them, we also install them, we connect them, and we operate them afterwards. And within these two areas, basically from selling to installing, this is where we develop an operating system to help our installers to digitize their processes, to be more efficient, to make most of the labor that we have. And then second, after something is sold, we just don't leave the components with the person that bought them, but we help to make most of the flexibility, because there is already more in a single component than we usually use. Not only a car, but also a heat pump. You can optimize them towards the grid tariffs. You can optimize them amongst each others, and this is what we do with our Heartbeat. We make most out of the customer's flexibility, so that they don't need to care, that they don't need to know when is the best point in time to charge, but we already decide for the customers, for example, for the EV, to charge when there is PV or when there is surplus wind electricity in the grid, to make the EV charging less cost efficient, but also more greener.
That's very interesting that both of you are offering something like a software as a service system, and that you are both one-stop shop approach or something like that, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, okay. So maybe we can talk a little bit more about how to bring together startups and companies. And yeah, of course, we have a lot of challenges here to manage. For example, the flexibilization of usage you were mentioning, or to roll out a charging infrastructure as you mentioned. So to Minister Herman, so how does your government is supporting this huge transition process?
I think first of all it's important that we meet on sessions like here, that we see what's going on, because administrations are generally old-fashioned and we try to transform them, and insofar we are very open-minded to look what is going on, what is possible, what do these startups bring. And in my responsibility, I'm responsible for example, for the state fleet of the administration, and we further the electrification of all means of transport. That could be a bike, a cargo bike, or a car, or a small truck. As well, we finance and help financing buses and trucks, and so these are our funding programs. And insofar, we are matching with young companies because they are working on this. For example, here is one one of this startup that is developing a good, let's say, a good software to find out what is the best fleet or what are the best cars for the fleet. This could be help very much. And what we are as well doing is we try to become a producer of green energy, because we need green energy at best along the infrastructure, railways, Autobahn, streets and so on, because we need a lot of new green energy in order to electrify the traffic and transport system. And in so far, we help these young startup companies and as well older ones.
Okay. It was amazing to follow him visiting all these different startups here, and yet very interesting that we have so many digital applications in the startup scene here. You mentioned maybe the ministries could be a little bit old-fashioned. I'm sure that's not true. It's of course not true for you. But maybe Jan, you talk about the paradigm shift, but don't we need, first of all, something like a paradigm shift in the head of the people who are really doing that and who really bring up electric vehicle transformation on the streets?
Like a mindset shift, you mean?
Yeah.
I think it's the mirror of the same, and it's a big word, paradigm shift. So I would say yes and no, the mindset shift, because on the one side, what I see is there's a lot of awareness now across many different industries. So governments are pushing it clearly. What you saw in Silicon Valley is also a very positive trend. OEMs, they have done a massive transformation, so many of their platforms have already moved to electric. There's multiple service providers out there and lots of startups. So the awareness is generally very, very high. And even more encouraging, what I see when I talk to other people in different industries, there's a new generation of leaders now that are intrinsically, sincerely willing to make an effort to give a contribution to society, to make it better, to make it more sustainable. So that's on the positive side. But on the other side, when I look at the macro picture, we're still moving too slow. I think if there's still people out there that deny climate change, then I think that's a fact. And we're standing at the cliff, and we may fall off if we don't act faster. And we need to act faster, all of us. And then that requires this paradigm shift, and in a way, indeed, also a mindset shift, because then you need to work in a different way than what we used to do in the automotive and mobility sector. You need to be willing to share data. You need to be willing to partner with other companies. Nobody can do it alone. You need to form this ecosystem. You need to be willing to connect to platforms. You used the word one-stop shop. I didn't mean it in a way to control the industry, being a one-stop shop and get all the power. I meant it more to make it easier for the fleets to consume these services from the specialists here, like Chargerlize and from BIA for smart charging. Get it integrated in a platform to make it easier for the fleet to adopt it. And that's where I think also companies need to start using that. There's a lot of solutions available. We can act on it. Don't wait for the perfect solution. Start acting on it and learn by doing. That's what I mean with the paradigm shift.
Yeah, and you see this is full startup mentality, which is just coming out of you with a lot of effort. Thank you so much for that. I would like to hand over to Barbara, because maybe you are very familiar with both worlds, with the really huge companies and the startups as well. And do you have any recommendations how we can manage this acceleration and maybe this paradigm shift even in the huge companies?
Maybe 1.5 degree is also a huge company in the sense of how many smaller installers we incorporated. But we look at it not from a mind shift perspective, because our customers are already there, right? So I already get asked, our customers want a PV. They want it to be integrated with the electric vehicle. So what we do is a little different than changing mind. We say, okay, we only work with partners that are open to be integrated into our platform. Otherwise, we can't even fulfill our customers' demands and what our customers expect from us. So we tackle it from the customer side and follow the customer's demand. And if you do that, then you don't need to, there is not even other option to continue installing hardware devices that are not steerable, for example, in customers' homes. This, I would say, is the one thing. that if you follow the customer mind, you don't need to shift your mind, but you just follow what your customer demands, and that works in small and bigger customer companies. And then the second thing is, once you have a drive, you can see how the rest of the community follows, right? For 1,5, for sure, it was a lot more difficult to find the first traditional installation companies that wanted to come with us on the journey, join the group, be integrated, change their processes, change the hardware that they sold. But at a certain point in time, it gets a lot easier because they see it's working. It's a lot of fun to work in that way, to make your customers happy, to learn new things, and then it starts to be a rolling system and you grow super fast. And this is how we tackled a mix between a startup and a big company.
Yep. Sounds easy to be very close to your customers, but maybe it is not, even if you're working with the installers and the private households as well. So compliments that you're doing that in the way you are doing. Thank you. So handing over to Jan and asking him a similar question. Your task is to accelerate the transition of commercial transport, including changing the mindset of your colleagues. So what are your recommendations? What do you learn from the startups all over here?
Yeah, so probably give you, first of all, a little bit of impression what I think is the most important, and then the learnings from the startup. I think when we think about transformation, particularly in industry, we have to think that more as a chance than a threat. Yeah, there where it really starts. Because if you say it's a threat, it drives all the current business kind of in a
Jan,
curve
could you
where
could you a little bit turn the mic? That
hey, I'm getting some stage advice. Great. So in a curve where this technology will not be value anymore, then you're not really focusing on the things that will you make successful in the future. And that's what change is all about, that you embrace it and see that at the end, this growth potential in zero-emission vehicles and also other solutions will be a chance for not only us, but also many others. And I think this is what I can learn, and also many others can learn from here, that actually this is a startup scenario. Yeah? You have a fast-growing market, you have high chances, you have kind to explore, find your way through it, see that you also fail and then redo and do something new, but never give up and see that at the end, in the future, you will be successful. So at the end, I think it's much more thinking about that to move from a victim to an author and really write the story of transformation, and then I think we all will be successful there.
Yeah. Thanks a lot for your insight, and I guess it's accelerating for all of us, and yes, bringing this innovation on the market. Thank you. So we are close to the final course over here, and I would like to end the debate talking about open innovation as the vehicle to accelerate EV transition. Startups bring new technologies into corporates. If we meet again in 5 years, where are we then? And I start with Barbara.
In 5 years' time, I believe that there will be no customers, independent of B2B or B2C out there, that will buy devices that are not integrated with anything else, but just stand alone.
That's easy. Jan, would you go on?
Yeah, I think we will be in a world where everyone understood that we are in the middle of the transformation and that electric vehicles and trucks are just there on the road and will help us to decarbonize transportation.
Sounds excellent.
Yeah, I will bring it back to EV. I think we will have reached an inflection point in the light of what I explained before. So I think buses, it will be mainstream EV adoption and also this end-to-end solutions. Light commercial vehicles will have a steep up curve. Trucks will have still a way to go, I'm afraid. I hope we get there sooner. And then we will see a rich ecosystem combining all these solutions, partners, and then the use of data for smarter solutions.
Yeah. So thank you very much for painting this picture. Of course, the last word is yours.
Well, I think the next 5 years will go faster than the last 5 years. We have to go faster. We have to be more successful. We have to electrify a bigger fleet, passenger cars as well as buses and trucks. And I hope we have a lot of new cars of this new style, which are really sustainable, produced and sustainable products. And we hope that the ideas of these young companies, startups, are more and more part of the whole society. You know, what I learned here is that these young companies, they are very creative and innovative, and they are pushing. And we need more push and more creativity in our society, and we need more people that say, let's go on, let's do it. We have to do it, and there's not too much time to save the planet.
That's
And
true.
I hope you will save with us the planet.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you very much to all my panelists for this energetic debate and, of course, bringing so much energy back to you. That was really fascinating to listen to you. Thank you to light the path to a sustainable future of mobility. And, of course, thanks to all of you. It was awesome to see today how you are unlocking the full potential of e-mobility and moving forward to a sustainable mobility transition. Thank you very much, all of you.